phases to it. There'll be another signing day. And then from there, as I called it before, there'll be free agency. So I think when you look at the process of how this really works, you're always looking for your DNA and what fits and what are your needs for the most part. We went into this year thinking that we needed to upgrade certain parts of our team. And as you can see, length, height, width, speed was a big factor. And we really concentrated for us on the interior of our football team, whether it was offensive linemen, defensive linemen. We've got a few skill guys as well. And we have, I would say, 7 more chips that we can actually use in free agency. So it's by no stretch of the imagination over. We felt we really did a great job. Our coaching staff, led with AP, did a great job of evaluating the type of players that fit what we want to do on offense and defense. And I think that's the most important thing. And you realize that the longer you're in this, it's no different than the NFL. You always try to draft players in the NFL due to the conference you play in. We're in the South, we're in Pac-12. We realize our opponents that we have to play every year. So that was our mindset. We operated in a sense of we didn't only stay in a couple states. We kind of went all over this year. And that was done with the strategy of how we looked at players in certain parts of the country that fit our DNA. And we're fortunate enough that we got a lot of them that we liked. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to AP. Obviously, he'll have to say something. He's our recruiting coordinator. You forgot assistant head coach and co-defensive coordinator. You got a lot of titles. You got about 5 of them. But we're excited about today. You got it, AP.
Yeah, we did a good job. Signed a total of 10 players, 7 different states, 4 on offense, 6 on defense. And obviously, as Coach Edwards said, just phase 1 of the process of this 2021 class. We'll continue to evaluate, continue to process talent both in high school, junior college, and now in the portal. So that's critical for us to keep evaluating that and keep all our options open.
We'll open up to questions using the raise hand function. Start off with Craig.
Hey, thanks, guys. Coach and Antonio, let me ask you guys, how far have you come since the first year, since that first abbreviated recruiting class you had? How far have you risen here in recruiting?
I think pretty well. I mean, I think like Coach Edwards said, it starts with our footprint at home in Arizona, then the rest of the West Coast. This year, we try to expand ourselves east of the Mississippi River, which we did that. Again, looking for height and length, and bigger bodies, more mass. Some speed, down in Florida. But as you see with this program, we've kind of hit every area. I think we've done a good job, obviously, in our footprint, the state of Arizona, state of California over the last few years, really identifying and making this team faster and bigger, really focus on certain positions. Look at IE, for example, the running back group that we brought in, 3 dynamics running backs. Add DJ Taylor in that mix. I think we really hit a home run in that running back room. And this year's was focused on O-line and D-line. Our goal was to bring in, hopefully, when this is all said and done, 10 or 12 big bodies with height and length that can help us up front.
AP makes a great point there. Just to add on to what he said, I think this is our 3rd class. Our first class, we had already had, I think, 11 or 12 commits. So we didn't have a full slate of opportunities. And I think as this thing has developed, now with the free agent market opening up, in other words, the portal, you have to have cards to play in that game as well. And I thought the strategy that AP and Al and myself came up with was the fact that we want to play in both worlds. I think you have to do that. We were looking at the portal last night, AP and myself, and I said, well, how many pages are there? They looked at me, they said, Coach, there's 72 pages of players. And so I think you have to be wise to do that. And I think we set ourselves up to be able to dabble in that if necessary. And if not, there'll also be some kids that we're still looking at that didn't want to sign early that we can sign later.
Oh,
AP, I know that it must have been a really challenging decision just to go that free agency route, as you mentioned, and really just take a whole different approach to the recruiting class. Can you just kind of walk us through the discussions? I mean, was it really a challenging process for you and the entire coaches to do almost like a 180 your recruiting approach, or was it a pretty easy decision, knowing that maybe 2021 is a year where you believe that a lot of cards are stacked in your favor and you rather go with a proven product rather than a high school prospect?
Yeah, I think just to answer the last question, it's not about proven product, it's about what fits us best, what we're looking for that helps our program win ultimately, obviously in 21 in the future. But the thing about the portal that's interesting, a lot of players in that portal we recruited in 18, 19, and the 20 class. So there's some familiarity there for us. That helps out. The other part about it, you just got to be able to adapt to new times. I mean, you see kids left and right opting out, going into the portal the week of the last game, the week before the game. Hell, some guys the day of the game. You just don't know. So we wanted to keep all our options open until we kind of see how this year plays out. And then who knows, maybe in 22, we don't mess with the portal. But for this year, we wanted to see things. It's been a weird year. COVID, you got to expect the unexpected, and we want to be prepared for that.
Chris.
Herm, AP, you're in a much different place now than you were with your program a year ago or 2 years ago. And how much of that calculus factors into the decision-making about what offers, who you're going to take, and stuff like that?
A lot of it does. We understand our roster probably better now than we did when we first arrived here. That helps you. And then going forward, you know, the players that we feel that might come back because of the free year, right? So all those things play a factor. But the one thing that was looking us and staring us in the face was our ability to go after big guys up front, whether it was defensive players that could help us get to the quarterback, or whether it was young offensive linemen that we can develop in our program. And if you look at some of the guys we got, the one thing that stands out, they're long. I mean, they're long, and they've got the DNA that we like, and we have a chance to develop those guys. So I think that's very important.
Christian.
Yeah, a question for both of you, just sort of as far as the energy around the program, how is that sort of related to what you've been able to accomplish in this class and how you want to use this class to build the roster moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it always starts up top, excuse me, with Coach Edwards, the synergy, the energy they bring to the building every day. That trickles down to the coaches and then down to our players. That serves our recruiting purposes. You know, when they come around or have an opportunity to talk to us, either Zoom, FaceTime, they feel that through the phone, no different than you feel right now as we're talking and speaking. So what we try to do on this class year after year from 18, 19, 20, and now 21 is build that excitement for our fan base, to give people hope and excitement each and every year and each and every game we go out there that we have a chance to win, that we're putting a product that they're proud of, that they see out there. And obviously, whatever you see on the field represents Coach Edwards and this program, and that's what we want. And we want to be tough, we want to run the ball, we want to be physical. Got an outstanding quarterback in Jaden Daniels. We surrounded him last year with a bunch of skilled guys. We surround him now with a bunch of hog mollies and big bodies up front. And then defensively, as you've seen what we've done over the last 3 games, we want to get after the quarterback, and that starts up front with D-line.
Doug.
Hi, guys. Obviously, anytime you sign a quarterback, that is a big deal in any class. Could you just tell me what you like about Finn Collins? And also just another highly rated kid you guys are bringing in, Tommy Hill, where you guys see him competing in this first year?
Well, Finn obviously has the dimensions. He's about 6'3", has wonderful arm talent, has some athleticism, and we liked him. We liked him from afar as we continue to look at him. Has a great demeanor about himself. Was a guy that we just felt that would fit in the system that Zach wants to run. Tommy is here again at the corner position. And if you look at the other kid, we got some corners that are 6'1" around that height, that length. We wanted length in the back end of our defense, and he's a talented player now. I mean, he's very talented. I mean, I think in one game they showed me the highlights. He scored like 5 or 6 touchdowns. Some of them were on offense, some of them were on defense. But he's going to be a corner. He's going to play corner for us. So we've got 2, young guys that can come in and compete at the corner position. They all got length.
Michelle.
Hey guys, I wanted you guys to address maybe how different it was this year with COVID and not having kids on campus, and what unusual challenges you had to deal with this year.
Yeah, it was unique, to only talk to a recruit either through the phone, through a screen. We try to get creative with virtual tours. We did tours around the campus. I mean, you had to think outside the box this year. If you wasn't creative, if you didn't have guys that were on their toes, ready to adapt, it was just a different time. Just not for us in college football. We're all dealing with it. It's the first time you couldn't touch, talk, smell one of your prospects that you were recruiting. That made it difficult. So to go in depth behind the recruit was more important for us. Find out the character, the why, the purpose, who they are, what makes their heart beat, what's their drive for the game of football, and to be a student athlete was challenging. And that's why it was a thorough process. And that's why, to be honest, you don't see us probably sign a full class. You really have to go in depth when you make a 4 to 5 year commitment, both with the school and the student athlete. So I think it was critical for us to take a step back, really digest what was going on this year and see what we were getting.
Hey, AP makes some great points. And I think we were all in this, not only our coaching staff and our recruiting staff, but also our administrators. You think about Gene Boyd, Ray was on a lot of these calls. Our AD. I mean, we had everyone on deck. As far as counselors, tutors, everyone that our players actually get to touch that are here in this program. The people that advise them in different parts of being a student athlete, whether away from the football arena, they were involved in the process too. And we can't thank all those folks for the time and energy they spent along with us and our staff on the Zoom meetings.
Jacob.
Herm and AP, in talking to some of your signees on one of the things that came up multiple times was the diversity of the ASU coaching staff and how it was a driving force behind some of their decisions to join the program. In what way do you guys think that has impacted the recruiting process?
Well, I think kids in today's world and with social media, with the social movement that we've had in America here in the last 6-7 months, I think for some kids and parents, they want that. And I think building this staff, it starts with Ray. It starts with our AD, to be quite honest. When you look at the multi-staff members we have in all athletics here, and how we try to really make it a culture where people can feel very comfortable, regardless of what sport they play. And that's the sense I feel about our athletic program, period, about our university, period. I mean, when you think about our whole university, it's very diverse. And that's a good thing because that's the world we live in. And athletics is no different. On all levels of athletics here at ASU, that is something that every head coach understands. And it starts from the top. And that's something that we believe in. And that can be a factor in some of these kids' decisions as well.
Michael.
Yeah, Herman, AP, to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, I mean, going east of the Mississippi, last year you said you had to take some trips and you were kind of waiting in line, but they knew you were there. I mean, with COVID, you obviously still went east of the Mississippi, but did that kind of almost put a stall on that?
No. I mean, when you look at 7 different states, Louisiana, Texas, PA, Florida, get another kid more out of LSU through the portal, I think we hit our goal. Again, like Coach Edwards said at the beginning, we're not done. We still got a couple more golden tickets, as we call, in our pocket. And we'll keep working and chipping away, and we'll bring in the best football players that want to be Sun Devils.
The only thing that I missed was going on the road with AP. See, because generally when we go on the road, believe it or not, I don't eat a whole lot. But when I go on the road, I feed them. I mean, my wife was probably the happiest person this year because, I'm feeding the whole staff out of my own pocket when we go on the road. And they knew, AP, he doesn't eat. I mean, he gets going and he don't eat. He just goes. And nope, got to take lunch break. Nope, we got to go to dinner. So I got money in my pocket. My wife gives me allowance. I got that allowance saved up so when one day we can go on the road again, I can start feeding these guys.
Hey,
Coach, you've talked about even going back to last year, just how important it is to solidify the offensive and defensive line. And obviously you guys have made improvements and it's shown in the 3 games that we've seen so far this year. But where do you think you've come the farthest in terms of progressing and dominating the line of scrimmage and that goal?
Well, I think, when you get in this conference in the Pac-12, you look at it and you look at whether you're in the South or the North, and you realize that, and look, in any league, in the National Football League, college football, high school football, the men up front, whether they be on defense or offense, that's the driving force. The skill guys on the perimeter players, they're wonderful. The quarterback, you got to have a quarterback. We get all that. But it's the perimeter players. And I think when you can get people with size, and you bring them in this program and they're young, Joe's going to give them some more size and some strength, right? With that being said, you got a chance now to build a program. That's the foundation of your program. It's the guys up front, whether they're defensive linemen or whether they're offensive linemen. Then you pick the other pieces up. The quarterback drives the team. We understand that part. But you need to have an offensive line that can run block, can pass block. You need to have defensive players on the front 4 where you can rush 4 guys and put pressure on the quarterback without blitzing a bunch of people. And then you get the other parts, and that's kind of how you build your football team. And that's been our mindset. AP played for the Giants. They had one of the best defensive lines in captivity, with those guys up there. When I was with Tampa Bay, we had a pretty good defensive line when you think of the players we had there. So, that is the formula. And I think we say we have a pro model. We talk about the pro model. That's the pro model, but it's also the college model as well.
Jordan.
Hey guys, was there one of the recruits this class that maybe didn't necessarily jump off the screen on tape, but when you met with them through Zoom, there was just something about them that stood out?
To be answer your question, I think we brought in a lot of high character kids. Go down the list, Collins, a quarterback, guy who's kind of led on and off the field when you talk to him, very savvy, smart, articulate, student athlete. Junior Alexander's gonna be wide-eyed. He'll be a fan favorite with his personality. Austin Berry out of California, for an offensive lineman, he can talk a little bit. He's a talker, and that's good. Glass, a hometown hero, whose father played here as well, so that's good to have. And then it's funny because you look at our defensive line, we got 2 gentlemen from the boot down in Louisiana, soft-spoken kids, man, but when they get on camera and Zoom and the FaceTimes will be done, great smile. So we're very pleased with our group. Tommy Hill, if you haven't seen pictures yet, he's gonna come in with a gold grill. He'll make you smile, and he got that Florida swag for us. And then we got a tall guy named Eric Gentry out of PA, who is going to really surprise people. Every bit of 6'6", 85-plus wingspan. I think he'll change the game. But again, overall, this whole group, Williams, Reagan, and Tommy, we felt like we went after character players along with good players on the field.
Well, I know this. The guy that will really grab your attention, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on him right now, I know, and he plays for AP. Wait till you watch Williams play, linebacker. Hopefully, when you guys can come to practice, just watch him run. Watch his intensity of how he plays football. It is very obvious when you turn the screen on. He is the fastest guy on the tape. It's not even close. I mean, it's just like, I asked AP, are you like making this tape go faster? Because he's running faster than everybody on his field right now. it just, it fills my heart when I see a guy play with this type of passion. And AP said it. The kids that we went after, they like football. It comes out on the screen. And when you visit with them and you talk to them, it's just something, and you know it when you've been in football. As long as AP and myself have been in it, it's like, this is the kind of guys that, yeah, you know, we want these kind of guys. It's important. Not saying the classes before weren't important to them, but this is kind of, we dug deeper. And AP's right. It was more about personalities of what they were going to bring to the table when they walked into the building.
Right.
Hey guys, a couple quick questions. First, so much of recruiting is relationship, right? And building relationships with people. And a lot of that has to do with in-person contact. How did you handle that without a lot of that personal contact? And I'll get a follow-up question after you're done with this one.
Yeah, I think our Verizon bill, we hit our max. I went over my data plan. I mean, you just wore those phones out. You know, the amount of times we passed around FaceTime and had Zoom meetings, these virtual tours, and probably the most, to be honest, the most we've ever spent with the recruits over the phone, to be honest. I mean, most of them get on campus and they get to move around, but you got to entertain these guys for an hour, 30 minutes. And it keeps going. And it's every day. And they want to know because they're still at home too. You know, this was a different year. Most of us was at home for a longer period of time than we were on the grass, practicing or playing games. So the opportunity for them to get to know us, get a vibe for our program, know the direction we're going with Coach Edwards, and what we needed to get out of them was very vital for our program. Again, this is a group that I think in this class, we didn't leave no stone unturned from the amount of questions. And we had our whole staff involved in every recruit. So if you ask our offensive line coach about the DB, he better know something about it. We watched film together. We examined, we studied him. We did everything together. So collectively as a group of coaches and this entire support staff we have, we feel like we have a great sense of who these kids are that we're bringing in.
And Coach, the follow-up, Herm, is just, I don't know if you heard, Major League Baseball recognized the Negro Leagues now as an official major league. What's your reaction to that, you guys?
A long time coming. And, you know, I was in Kansas City, so I know a little bit about that. And that's quite an honor. And when you look at that league and what it was about, you know, you visit the museum, it tells you a lot about our history. And, you know, and I'm you know, I was a baseball fan, you know, growing up. And so you know, baseball was probably growing up when I grew up was my passion in the beginning was baseball, you know, and then football, but it was baseball. You grew up a baseball guy and you played baseball. But Ozzie Smith is a good friend of mine. And I remember visiting down there you know, in Kansas City with Ozzie numerous times and meeting some of those guys that played in that league. And it was, you know, it's well-deserved to say the least.
Chris?
Herm, Austin Berry tweeted that a photo of you guys from a camp 3 years ago. And,
What shirt do you have on? Michigan shirt?
yeah, Michigan shirt. Yeah. So, but the fact that you've now had that amount of time to watch some of these kids develop over the years, talk to them, get to know them, and at the same time concurrently see your offensive line develop, and now those things are merging. Can you just talk about the value of that in a program development, and also about just that particular anecdote?
Well, I think, yeah, it's funny. I can remember it, and I tease him about it. You know, and it all worked out well for both parties, really. And we're excited about him. You know, the thing that you know, he didn't play this year. And so, you know, he still has some growing to do. But the dimensions of what he is fits our DNA. And here's something I like about the guy. He's tough. He's tough now. When you turn tape on, he's a tough football player now. He likes contact. He's not shied away from it. And I just think, you know, these relationships, like you say, at a camp, and all of a sudden you just keep recruiting guys, and all of a sudden you have this chemistry. You earn their trust, they earn your trust, and then it just becomes dialogue, as AP's mentioned, you know, and it becomes dialogue maybe over a 2-year period. It becomes dialogue, it's dating. You're just kind of dating each other, and they're dating other guys, they're dating other schools, right? And then it starts getting closer and closer. Year passes away, we're still dating, we're still good, right? And then all of a sudden, 6 months left, we're still dating, we're still good. And then the exciting part is like today, it comes down to, okay, it's signing day. Let's find out, how many letters are we signing out that we know guys are going to sign early, and he can talk about this even more. This class coming in, how many will actually be here early? That was big for us too. And AP can talk about that. I think that, we always talk about in the spring, we're trying to get guys in here in the spring because that helps. All right, talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, from off the list of 10 so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 10 will be here January 11th when we start school back up. Excited for us. That gives Joe an opportunity to get with them before we get to spring ball. But going back to Barry, the most positive thing about that's a gentleman and a prospect that wanted to be a Sun Devil. I was calling him at 5:30 this morning, blowing his phone up. He had about 20 missed calls from me. I told him, make sure his bell was up at 7:01 to sign that letter. And we were fired up for him because we was up here. I mean, you got to think about how our day started today. We had guys on the East Coast, so they could sign 7 o'clock their time. So we were in this building in the 4 o'clock hour before the sun came up. We're eating donuts. Coach brought in.
I brought the donuts. I went got the donuts at 4.
Yeah. We got to walk and do the mountain. We got to get that diet off. But it's been a long day, and that's part of this process and the grind. But the most important part about this is those guys want to be Sun Devils. That thing with Barry, that was 2 years ago at a camp in LA. 2 years ago. And that resonated with him. So when other schools come after our guys, you go back to that photo. You go back to that moment where you had that moment with Coach Edwards and our staff. And you was coached up by him at that camp. And you remember all those things. And then it ties into the recruiting, and then it makes the picture a lot clearer. Mona Lisa now become beautiful. You get it.
Doug.
Herm, I asked you this, I think last week, and you weren't ready to commit yet. But in terms of seniors possibly coming back, do you have a high rate of confidence that you will get some key players coming back for that additional year?
I do. Yeah. Don't want to mention who they are because things can change, but right now I'm feeling like, okay, might be okay.
When do you think that will be finalized?
Oh, I think after the season, right? Most of these guys are going to be in the coaches. Once we play our last game, we'll talk about all that, and some of these players, we'll decide. But we with the guys we've talked to, all arrows are pointing in a pretty good direction.
Okay. And just real quick, AP, could you tell me what caught your eye about Trevez Moore from LSU and what impact he might be able to have?
Well, oddly enough, before Coach Edwards and myself got here, he was offered by the previous staff in ASU. There was a connection and a relationship built prior. Went to junior college. Obviously, I went to JUCO. And then just watching. That team, LSU, did win a national title last year. He's a proven winner. He played behind a couple first rounders. Sometimes things don't work out. And once he went in the portal, we made contact. There was a period of time of getting to know him getting to know us. How can we help you? How can you help us? It all worked out. And when you see what we're doing with our defensive line and what Coach Rodriguez is doing, what Marvin and myself is calling the defense, I think we're getting after the quarterback pretty well with 4 guys up front. Tyler Johnson, Matus, those guys are doing a really good job on the edge. Up front with the big boys in the middle, they're collapsing pockets. We feel like stopping the run pretty well. And now we just want to keep adding more pieces to the fire. And the more and more we get that going, now we got that bad boy rolling. Now it's become rotation. Now we can throw 4 guys in at a time and feel really comfortable. So the depth, the experience, the leadership, the winning ability, and the factor that he won last year, so he knows what it's like. He's tastes winning. You can't have enough of those guys in the program.
Jordan.
Coach AP, thanks for doing this. When Prentice Gill and Chris Hawkins were both hired, they had a lot of buzz around them on what they could do on the recruiting trail. Now that you're pretty much one full class cycle with them, what can you say just about their recruiting efforts and how they contributed?
Well, I'll say my little part, and AP can fill in the blanks. But you talk about two young coaches with lots of energy, but also in the pipeline. That's the thing I've learned. Well, look, I was pretty smart when I took this job. The first guy I hired, he was in studio, was AP, right? I mean, I kind of figured that out. I said, if you're going to get players, you don't draft them. It's not the NFL. You don't draft them. You got to recruit them. Well, who knows about this recruiting deal, right? And I said, well, I knew two guys, Al Luganbill and Antonio Pierce, that I trust. I mean, trust blindly. I mean, blindly, because there got to be trust in this deal now. Because I can't be everywhere. And then how are we gonna build this? And we sat there, and it's been 2 years of trying to just get it all, everybody going in the right direction, right? Because everyone has to go in the right direction. Your staff has to go in the right direction. Everyone has to be on the same page. You don't do it in a year. It's impossible. And I knew that. And so with that being said, watching AP, I said, I got to get some more guys similar to AP that are in the pipeline. And that was a conversation we had. And these two young gentlemen happened to be in that pipeline. And AP said they're good coaches as well. They're young coaches. We can teach them how to be better coaches and teach them how to coach. But the pipeline for athletes, they brought that to the table.
I mean, you got to give him credit, for Chris Hawkins to go all the way out to Florida, get Tommy Hill and beat out a lot of big name Power 5 programs. That's huge. Obviously, the connection with RJ Reagan out of California, another Cali Devil for us. That's huge. And Prentice Gill, go up to Washington, Junior Alexander, a bigger body guy. And it's still working. They're still working. Sometimes you got to slow them down because they want to bring in about 1,000 DBs and receivers. And that's not the game we're in right now. We're in a big boy business right now. But I tell you what, they work hard at it. They're eager to do it. They love what they do. They come to work with a smile. And like you said, with everything that's going on, it is relationship driven.
Christian.
Yeah, you both talked about how sort of the increased emphasis on recruiting nationally, obviously you see that reflected in this class. How do you think sort of the ASU football brand has grown over the past year or so, especially with the win over Oregon on national TV, sort of getting that exposure where when you go into those high schools, people recognize the Fork and they want to see you there?
Well, we've been very fortunate in our 3 seasons here thus far that we've had the ability, lo and behold, to play in some national games that have been on television. And a lot of those games, we were fortunate enough to win. And I think when that starts happening, people look. Like, look, we've played, this will be our 4th game this season. We're going to play 3 national games on television. I mean, so people they see it. And I think if you're in our business of recruiting, if you're a young athlete and you turn the television on and you watch the players play, you go, they play a lot of young guys. Yeah, we do. And I think that excites players, and so and it excites families, and look, a lot of the families, AP, their families knew who Antonio Pierce was. Well, that's the guy, he played for the Giants. They know who Marvin Lewis is. They know that. He was the coach of Cincinnati Bengals, right? And so they see all this. I got nothing to do with none of this. Right? No. So I think all that has something to do with it. And then playing on a national stage with young players and winning a lot of those games in primetime moments, that helps you.
Michael.
Sorry. Yeah, AP, I'm just reading a lot today and looking, obviously scholarships, they were saying, for this year, there could be more. And from what I read and understand and reading, I know you said we're keeping some in the pocket, but it seems like you could offer more for next year, but is that kind of just you want to keep on pace with just the regular number, not to have to worry about a scholarship crunch later?
No, I think we're working through that. Luke and Bill's doing an outstanding job of prepping us for what's going to come about in the 21-22 season, where you're going to watch your 85 count. That's going to be critical for every team in college football. But we plan on using all our scholarships. We just want to kind of wait and see how things kind of wash out over the next 3 days. Take a break, regroup in 21, get back in the evaluation period, look at prospects, who signed, who did what, who's moving, who's staying. All those things factor into it. But this has been our plan. We was not going to sign a full class in phase 1. Phase 2 will add some more pieces. And when this is done and we get to fall camp, we'll be finalized.
Any other questions for the coaches?
Thank you, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, coaches.